My next guest has been described as everything from an old-fashioned man to Huckleberry Finn. With hormones, would you please welcome the #1 international star Mr. Clint Eastwood? You got a tough act to follow, you know. Thanks, what do you thin plumb my 20th law that she's wild that really flipped me out. Because having grown up in small towns, when somebody says you live at Roman 20 and Plum, and his doc said that's not the main part of town is first in Main 23rd. Plum is way out, well, it's got more cool than any 10 actors they've ever seen. Yes, she was a grand piano teacher, with noble cool. Well, speaking of cool, they really handed you a spot on that Academy Award night. I thought that was gonna be the highlight of the whole awards. I'm really sorry Heston showed up in a way. But I know the feeling when you're backstage then somebody comes to you and says Hess is not here. They corralled you, obviously have said go out and do the opening stuff right. Well, I wasn't. Even backstage, I was sitting in the audience. You were dining. I was down the audience. I didn't have to worry because I didn't have a thing to do till the very end of the show, which was to present Best Picture. Right, and Howard Koch, who's normally a very cool, collected type person, comes up to me, and his hands were going up and down like a Singer sewing machine. He says Charlton Heston hasn't shown up. Well, I didn't know he's supposed to be on the show, so I said yes. So McDaniel, yeah. And so he said, well, like he has to read the whole opening thing. He says, can you come back and do it? And I started to say no. And I was looking around for a Gregory Peck, and my wife knighted me and said, go ahead, you can do it for. And I was, oh no, most people probably realize, having seen so much television through the years, that most things are either on teleprompter or cue cards. But it's one thing having seen what you're going to do, and even do it well then, but not having seen it and having to do it. Cold would throw the most professional actor, because you, first of all, you don't know what they're really saying as you come to it, right? You just each line come up. And you don't know where they're going to card, you don't know where they're going, plus the fact that he called me backstage. And he said here, he says you can do this. And I look at it, it's all written with these biblical terms. It's written for a man who played Moses, which needless to say, I haven't done. And he says, well, I said I can't do this, Howard. I sits. Absolutely impossible, it's not written for me. And even if it was, I'm not sure it's the right kind of Indonesia's say anything, so I just took the book. And he shoved me right on the stage. And there I was. I liked it when you said flip the card. This is not my bag. I thought that's Colin, that's what makes television. I had missed the days when television was live, where everything was right now, because you had those minor disasters it set in. And as important as they look at the time, they're really not. Important, it will screw up, and everybody would look at each other, yeah, it'll go up in the lines. And you didn't know what to do. But that's what makes that kind of a show. Yeah, you said yourself, you made a joke to yourself. You said fine dialogue. They gave the fellows never said what 12 lines. And I think 3 words, 3 origins. Well, could you do something like remember what it was the time I was having a small attack? What do you say to the critics you get this all time? Because you made a joke about yourself. I think Time magazine or somebody said you studied at the Mount Rushmore Dramatic Society. Well, I don't know who was it was Time, but I don't say anything to him. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But your films have grossed something like somebody told me around $200 million, which is incredible around the world. I don't know anybody who did. I don't know the exact figures, or I read in a publication the other day they had it broken down into various forms, but you know, critics are just like anybody else. They have their opinion, and you know. And you hope it's very flat into your ego if they happen to say, well, no, I really think this guy didn't want this job. You see it in print. And it, pumps you up for a second. But the main thing is, how does the public write? Those of you think the critics get to you, you can really go around with a king-size knot in your stomach. Exactly. So you kind of have to just say, hey, forget it, not a barium test. Yes or no, you've been through that. The very obsessed, that's a lot of fun. I do a whole monologue thing in my act on that, about better taking the barium test. 20. The term spaghetti western first take effect. Now those are the westerns, obviously. They were made in Italy. The fistful of dollars you made over there was very big, and others, of course. But when was the first time you've heard that specific term used to describe? They used to call, I think, the Japanese term to macaroni westerns. When they first came out, they came out over there. Before they did here, at least Fistful of Dollars did because it was held up in litigation, and due to a lot of problems in this country. So they call the macaroni westerns, and then somebody else grabbed my spaghetti westerns. And their which was logical because they were Italian productions, though they were filmed in Spain right now. Did they dub be in Italian for those pictures for the foreign market? Did you make them in English dub every picture if you're filming a picture in Italy and it's being filmed? Italian they dub it anyway, they just cute track it, and it was their good a mic here like this, and he gets a cute track, and then later on you come in and do a clean track later, why she so none of the dove and they're sensational, either they can sit, and then completely double show, and they've got actors who were trained, Italian actors who are trained to seeing movements of the mouth in English and syncing it in. And Japan the same way. I've seen something they do remarkable, or sensational. Let me take a break here and we will come right back you.